The AI industry presents a public face of helpful assistance and corporate productivity tools. Inside the development labs, the internal dialogue shifts from helpful chatbots to the likelihood of total loss of control. Daniel Kokotajlo was a forecaster at OpenAI, whose job was to map out the company's trajectory. In 2024, he resigned and walked away from $2 million in equity to break his silence. He refused to sign a non-disparagement clause because he believed the public needed to know what the developers were saying behind closed doors. Kokotajlo's warning is centered on a specific number used within the industry, a 70% chance that their current path leads to catastrophic failure or human obsolescence. The narrative of the helpful assistant serves as a corporate rationalization, masking the fact that the industry is racing toward an outcome most of its own experts fear. Silicon Valley is currently locked in an open secret, a paranoid arms race where the world's most powerful CEOs are driven by terror rather than progress. Sam Altman and the leadership at OpenAI have accelerated their development timelines. Their internal logic is that falling behind even by a few months represents an existential threat to their company's survival. This pressure is mirrored at Anthropic by CEO Dario Amodei. When the two most advanced labs in the world view every safety precaution as a tactical disadvantage, the race becomes an accelerant for reckless decision-making. The psychological root of this race is a fear of the first-mover advantage. These leaders believe that the first person to reach artificial general intelligence will possess the leverage of a global dictator, and none of them trust their competitors with that power. Human destiny is currently being steered by the panicked, power-seeking obsessions of a few billionaires who view hitting the brakes as a form of surrender. To maintain their lead, these companies are prioritizing the development of AI agents designed to automate the labor of human AI researchers, effectively removing the human bottleneck from the development process. Modern AI development has moved past the era of predictable, line-by-line software code. Engineers are no longer writing instructions that a human can read and verify. These systems are artificial neural networks, tangled clusters of 10 trillion parameters. They grow their own logic through massive cycles of reinforcement, strengthening specific pathways to achieve a goal, without the engineers knowing exactly how the system is processing information. This has created the mechanistic interpretability problem. We are building digital brains that operate as black boxes. We can see the inputs and the results, but the hyper-complex internal pathways remain unmapped and unreadable to human observers. The industry is constructing an alien intelligence we cannot decipher, purely to satisfy the demands of an escalating corporate race. Recursive self-improvement occurs the moment these opaque digital brains become more capable at coding and research than the humans who built them. At this stage, the AI begins optimizing its own architecture in a continuous loop. Current forecasts point to 2027 as the likely window for this transition. This is the year the automated R&D loop is expected to trigger an intelligence explosion. This chart shows the rate of technological progress. Once the AI is directing its own evolution, the speed of discovery moves from a steady slope to a vertical line. Progress that used to take decades is compressed into months. This digital intelligence gains physical leverage through the infrastructure we are already connecting to AI. By managing automated supply chains, power grids, and robotic manufacturing lines, a superintelligence gains the direct ability to mass-produce hardware and run the physical economy without human intervention. By 2030, this speed of automation could lock humanity out of the economic and technological control room entirely. If the current race continues, the default outcome is the concentration of absolute power in a tech oligarchy, or a total loss of agency to a new digital species that no longer requires human cooperation. This race is further fueled by geopolitical rivalry. The fear that adversarial nations will reach superintelligence first makes it impossible for any individual CEO to hit the brakes without government intervention. To avoid this outcome, forecasters have proposed Plan A, a coordinated off-ramp designed to break the psychological death spiral of the current race.
The first step requires governments to intervene by 2029 to enforce a global freeze on the training of frontier AI models, prioritizing safety over speed. This plan calls for total research transparency. Corporations would be forced to move their hidden recipes for these digital brains out of secrecy and into the open scientific community. When secrecy is removed, the paranoia loop dissolves. Global watchdogs can equalize progress and ensure that development is guided by public safety rather than a private monopoly. To stabilize the economy during this transition, a universal citizens' dividend would be required to distribute the wealth generated by automated labor back to the public. This ensures that the benefits of AI are not hoarded by a few racing labs. Our survival depends on pulling AI development out of the dark, panicked environment of the current arms race and placing it under the light of democratic oversight.